Hi folks, welcome back to another Monday night live stream. Hope everybody is well, and I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We've had a right old bit of chat before the live stream even started tonight. I think it started. Oh, let me scroll back and see. I think it was about 7 o'clock or something. The first message were in there from Rain. So thank you very much, Rain, for tuning in tonight. I'm not sure if you're still around, but you certainly were at 7 o'clock, almost 2 hours ago. Yeah, so we've had a right old bit of a chat, as you can see. It's scrolling up the screen there. We've got let's have a look in the chat and see who we've got. So we've got Rain, as I mentioned. Good evening, Rain. Hope you're well. You said you managed to change your work schedule with a colleague so that you were able to participate. Rain mentioned today that he was driving a train, and I thought it was best he didn't try and watch while he was driving trains. So thank you very much, Rain. We've got Mark in as well, who's saying, woohoo, ready and waiting, sir. Nice to have you too, Mark. Hope you're well, buddy. We've got Broken Legion of Gamers in as well. Nick has said I think he's got a day off today, a paid holiday today, so he's here for the full live stream all the way from the US. I think you're kind of New York way. Is that right, Nick? We've got Flying Mammal in as well. Says howdy here. Good evening, Flying Mammal. And we've got Steve from Steve Small World as well. Good evening, Steve. Hope you're well too, buddy. We've also got, we've had a few squeezing a bit further down. Where are we? We've got, it's jumping around like a mad thing already. We've got Patrick in as well. Good evening, Patrick. Hope you're well, buddy. We've got Ian Scammons in as well. Good evening, Ian. You all right? We've got Shaggy Wargaming as well. Good evening, Jack. Hope you're well. And we've also got Robert in as well. Good evening, Robert. Hope you're well too, buddy. Also from the US. We've got Helen as well. It says, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Good evening, Hal. Hope you're well, bud. We've got Christopher Warden in as well. Good evening, Christopher. We've got Glenn Griffin in as well. Evening, Glenn. Nice to see you again too, buddy. We have also got Devious2K. Hello, Jamie. He says hello, and yeah, the answer is no. And with that, let's just call an end to it. We've got Phil Wilkinson in as well. Good evening, Phil. Hope you're well, mate. We've got Skull Munchin. Says, so what's up, peeps? Al Martin's just saying, good day, Andy, there as well. Hope all is well. All is very well, mate. Thank you very much. We've got Tolmart in as well. Says, hello, just made it. It wouldn't be the same without you, Tolmart. Phil says, get ready for a class of cheesy jokes. Whoops. Matt Mountain is in as well. Good evening, Matt. How are you doing, mate? He says, how's it going at #Manic Monday? Maybe it should be a Manic Monday. It's been a bloody Manic Monday. I don't know about that. We've got Michael in as well. Says, hello, all you boys and girls. It's Michael from Miniature Pain. I didn't quite have the accent there, mate, but it was close. We've got Sam in. Says, good evening, all. Good evening, Sam. Very nice of you to come in tonight. Also, very nice of you to actually speak as well, because I know sometimes you sit there in the background and don't see anything. For those that don't know, Sam, I've just said hello to there, is the guy that you'll have seen in my Kings of War Vanguard video. So Sam's my son, and he's the lad that was helping me out with the video. And so we've also got Julian Anchors in as well. Good evening, Julian. Hope you're doing well. Says first time watching, looking forward to it. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoy the evening. We've got Kieran in as well. Good evening, Kieran. Hope you're well too. Just been catching up on some of your Facebook posts there before we came in. There's a little bit of love going on there with Patrick saying hi to everybody. We've got Mark Tukey in as well. Says evening, first time able to catch this live. Thank you very much, Mark. Seems like we've got quite a few in for the first time tonight as well. And we've got I'm going to try and pronounce this now, the Fomorian. I think that's right. Says good evening, chaps. I am in for the first time. Great subject for the stream. Seems like we've got a lot of first timers in tonight. All is going well with some first timers in. Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for tuning in. We've got Tabletop Gaming in. Says, hey, buddy, look forward to another killer show. Thank you very much, mate. And looking forward to a pint at the weekend. Yes, definitely have one or two, mate. It's been one of them weeks already. So thank you very much. Yes, we'll definitely have a couple of beers over the weekend. For those that don't know, Tabletop Gaming do a fantastic channel. Head across there and check them out. If you're into I want to say Lord of the Rings, but it's what's it called again? Fantasy battles. I forget the exact name. If you're into the Lord of the Rings game by Games Workshop, head across. There's stacks of stuff on their channel. They're really going in deep into it. And we'll all be at the Clash of Kings tournament this weekend as well, which is quite apt, really, when we're talking about, is this the death of mass battle games? We're both off to a mass battle game tournament at the weekend. So we'll get onto that subject in a minute, but we'll catch up with a few people coming into the chat. Jamie is saying Sam has got hair, though. I'll have you know, I've got hair. It's just very, very short. I used to have a lot more when I was Sam's age, to be fair. Sam is saying not for long. We've got James Jane says, I'm here to plan the Kill Team invasion into Warhammer 40k. Nice to have you, James, mate. Hope you're well. Phil Wilkinson says, in the words of Mike Myers, it's an ogre night success. Mark Tukey says, you never forget your first. Well, I hope you remember it for all the right reasons rather than try to forget it anyway, mate. We've got Lee in as well, scouting the web. Hello, Lee. How you doing, buddy? Flying Mammal saying, yeah, for the first timers. We've got Anthony as well from Revenant Tabletop Gaming. Jamie is saying, it's, hope you're well, Anthony, first of all. Jamie's saying, Middle Earth strategy battle game. Thank you, mate. I knew somebody would keep me right. It tends to be you, to be fair. Thank you for that. Robert is saying hello to all the first timers as well. Oh, and Top Table says it's Top Table, not tabletop, but cheers for the shout. I don't know what it is. I just glanced at it, mate. It is Top Table, as in if you're the best player, you'll be on the top table. That's how I'll remember it from now on. Mike, listen, on this topic of today, yes, I think Vanguard is going to give the final blow. That's quite interesting because I don't know. I don't know if you've seen, if you guys are familiar with Beasts of War channel. I'm sure you probably are. If you found my channel, you probably know who theirs is. Beasts of War do a video every Saturday morning, which is a bit more of a kind of a bit of a just sit around and chat about a few topics, really a little bit like what we do here. And the topic a couple of weeks ago was, is this the death of mass battle games? And the reason that they came to that was they'd had a bit of a survey on their website, and Kill Team kind of came out as one of the most popular games that people were playing. And it seemed to trigger off a discussion about, are mass battle games kind of dead in the water? Are they dying off? And I kind of listened to the chat. I listened to some of the different things they were saying. I had a load of points I wanted to say as well, but obviously you can talk to the screen, but nobody listens, as I'm quite noticing now. You can talk to the screen, nobody listens, but I had a few points, and I thought it would make a good chat tonight. If anybody has seen that, I just noticed there from Michael saying the Kill Team cat, that's the one. If anybody saw that chat a couple of weekends ago, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm sure us folks here in the BlackJack Legacy livestream will have plenty to add to it too. So, Michael is saying, you have John Cena hair. I can't see it. I seen it yesterday. I can't see it today. And Sam, please do not laugh, and saying definitely not the John Cena body though. I'm probably more like John Goodman, if I'm honest, than John Cena. Phil said he's John Cena from the waist down. I'll have to take your word for that one, mate. Jamie says, so when do we start the induction for first timers? There are no planned fire alarms today. Yeah, if the fire alarm goes off, it's a real fire alarm. So please stay with somebody who's been here before. The exits, yeah, let's not go down that route. Patrick says, personally, the only mass battle game that I play is Kings of War, with multi-based miniatures in the 28mm range. Other than that, I seem to prefer Horizon Wars or FWC. I'm trying to remember what that is now. And War Master, if you can get those. Kieran's just saying as well, exits are to the left and to the right. And Top Table is saying, constantly around, unfortunately, but my thoughts. We'll catch them in a second. Rain is saying, went to see Venom. It was amazing. I forgot that was already out. I need to see that, actually. I've got a day off on Thursday, and my wife did mention about going to the cinema. So potentially that might be worth taking to see. Says, can't comment on the topic as I only got into miniatures through skirmish games. Was always interested, but mass battles seemed too scary. I think you'll have a really good kind of point of view on this then, Rain, because you're coming at it much differently to, I guess, to a lot of us are as well. Because I guess a lot of us got into gaming when when mass battles pretty much were the be all and end all, really. That was pretty much all you could play. I mean, I sort of I got in dipping my toe in with 40k a number of years ago. Didn't really enjoy it, but what it did do, it exposed me to how many other games were out there, and that was the point where I kind of I found Malifaux and other games like that, and I've kind of stuck more around skirmish games, but that's more to do with the time I've got available and the way I like to kind of a little bit more of a simple rule set and stuff, but we'll get onto that in a second. Lee is saying, is the rate of expansions for Kill Team putting people off at all? It's certainly putting me off, mate. I'll be honest. I don't know if I said it on a live stream or I might have just said it in a Facebook chat. But to be honest, it's already grown beyond what I wanted it to be and what I hoped it was going to be. The fact that I like the fact that there was new expansions coming out in terms of new kill teams and new new kill zones and that kind of stuff. But I'm quite happy just to play with what I've got. If I'm honest, the rules work. I like that it's all in one book. I'm quite happy staying with what I've got, but I'll probably see how it goes. I'll be honest. Patrick is saying FWC Horizon Wars and Warmoss I played in 16 to 15 mil scale. I've never played anything smaller than 28mm actually. Top Table is saying mass battle games are not dead. There's some great offerings out there like Song of Ice and Fire, Kings of War, many others. A lot of people say it's the restrictive movement, but it's a no. Patrick is saying FWC is Future War Commander. Thank you, Patrick. Robert is saying right now I have all the skirmish games, but looking hard at Kings of War. Really a pain there, buddy, as well. Phil, is saying I'm aiming for the 9. For 9, the mark of Lynch. Cheesy jokes. It's on. Let's see how that one goes. Steve's saying Horizon Wars is a great game. It's not a game I know, so I'm relying on you guys to tell me about it. And Top Table is saying different than X-Wing, just slightly bigger size. I think those things come in and out in waves. They'll have their day again soon when grand armies look so good on the table and the appeal is strong. Right, what I'm going to say, something I'm going to say is that I mentioned in the Facebook group that the chat is starting to get quite big now. We're getting quite a lot of numbers in. So if you've got a question specifically directed at me, if you start it with @BlackJack Legacy, it'll highlight and I'll see that you're trying to ask me directly a question. Because what I'm going to try and do is just kind of chat about my thoughts, and I will keep flicking back to the chat, but I apologize if I miss some of your comments and stuff. So if it's something directed straight at me, make sure you tag my name in it. But yeah, what I would say is that I think when most people got into gaming, and if you're of my age or a little bit older, Warhammer 40,000, Warhammer Fantasy, they were kind of the options. They were the big games, and everybody kind of got into those, and everybody kind of grew their armies together. Or if you went into historicals, or you were into kind of like Napoleonics, or kind of real sort of even Flames of War, or games like that. If you were into those, you tended to play one game. You tended to grow your army over time alongside your friends and your gaming buddies and everything else. And you didn't really have a lot of other distractions. So, for example, mobile phones weren't really a thing when I was a kid. You had computer games, and I'll come on to computer games because I think this is really important. Jamie says, define my age there. Okay, I'm 43 this year. Okay, so anybody that is around my age or older, or maybe a little bit younger as well, maybe in the late 30s or early 30s. There you go, I've defined that one. I think that when we were younger, we had less distractions. We had computer games, and like I see, I'll come on to that in a second because I think there's a link there as well. But we didn't have internet, we didn't have social media, we didn't have mobile phones, we didn't kind of have access to Netflix and a million different channels. All of those kind of things all take up your time now, and I think that certainly we like to divide our time now across multiple different games and multiple different things, such as watching Netflix, playing computer games, whether that be PlayStation or consoles, other consoles, sorry, or anything like that. There's lots of things vying for your attention. And I think that's where skirmish games and smaller scale games have really come in, because people now like to play lots of different games. There's a lot more games available. So people like to play lots of different things. And if they like to play lots of different things, they want to play them quickly. So they don't want to be painting up a 2,000 point army. And they also don't want to be, they don't want to try and remember lots of different rule sets in their head as well. Let me just quickly flick across to the chat and we'll see where we are. Alice saying the thing about skirmish battle-sized games is that you can get into a system or a world without having to make it a lifestyle game that most are. What's your thoughts? That's kind of where I was going with that chat, really. I mean, I think there are still people now who definitely do commit to that one game, be it AOS, be it Warhammer 40k, be it Kings of War, all of those kind of things. But I think they tend to commit to that one game, and I think they put all of their time and all of their hobby time and all of their effort into that one game. I think people like me, who kind of like to do lots of different games, tend to skirt around skirmish games because the rules tend to be that little bit simpler, and the entry point for getting models painted and on the table is also a lot lower as well. Jamie's just saying he's not the oldest. You're never younger than me, Jamie. No, I always thought you were. I always thought you were a lot younger than me, to be fair, mate. Michael saying I'm turning 40 this week. Am I defined old? Nobody said I was old, Michael. Let's not go down that path. I just said I was 43 this year. Didn't say I was old. Patrick is saying you're only 43. I'm older than you then. Exactly. See, I'm only 43. And you're only however old you are as well, mate. Matt's saying, we've got somebody else in the chat there as well. We've got DM13's come in. Says, all right, fellas. I've also just seen the top of the screen there says, Skull Munch, please don't miss this comment. Didn't miss it. Good evening, Skull Munch, by the way. Matt says, I have to prioritize my time nowadays. I have less of it. So length of game and time to build and paint are big factors. Yeah, and like I think that's kind of where I was getting at, really. I think they are big factors, but it goes back to the days that there was less choice, and you committed to one game, and all of your friends committed to one game, and everybody kind of everybody just played that one game kind of thing. Now, I mentioned computer games before, and it was something I was thinking about when I was watching the Beasts of War chat. That obviously I could have shouted at the screen, but they wouldn't have answered me. And I think we're seeing it in all kind of aspects as well. So when I was a kid, when I was a lad, going back to having my Spectrum, I had a Spectrum 128K plus 2. For those of you much younger than me, you'll be looking at me like I'm kind of speaking Swahili. And it worked off a tape cassette. You'll still be thinking to be speaking Swahili when I say a cassette. When I was a kid, I used to kind of save up my pocket money, and I would buy one game. Or my parents would maybe get me one for a birthday or something like that. But I would play that game to death. I would play it until I completed it, and then I'd probably go and buy something else. And I liken that to people who play mass battle games. They kind of pick their one game, and they keep painting their army until they've kind of got their army painted, and they keep playing that. These days, console games, the price hasn't really changed much. Games were kind of, certainly cartridges for things like Sega Mega Drives were 40 quid back then. And games they're just starting to rise now to about £50 now, aren't they? However, people seem to buy games very, very quickly. So they'll buy one and they'll play that, and they'll buy something else and they'll play this, and they'll buy something and they might not play it yet. And they tend to dip in and out of lots of different games because we've got a mentality now where we want a quick fix. We want to dive in and play a computer game for half an hour. We want to play a little bit of FIFA with our mates, or we want to play a bit of Skyrim and play it over a longer time, or we might want to dive back into an older game and play, I don't know, GTA 5 or something like that. And then you want the newest game when it comes out because you know all your friends have got it. And I think wargaming has now it's got enough people coming through into wargaming now from other avenues, be that coming in from things like The Walking Dead, be it coming in from things, I guess from the Warhammer computer games as well, really. It's attracting people who like to chop and change and have that almost instant kind of access to a game, instant gratification, if you like. DM13 saying, hopefully not miss much. Love the heck. Oh, just scroll up the top of the screen there. Love the heck out of Kill Team and find it easier to convince people to jump in when I explain they can get started with £20 models. The entry, it's definitely the entry point is a big big factor as well. I'm just saw Shaggy as Jack's there. Also have shorter attention spans. Yeah, and I think we do. We're so used to having kind of like little snaps of things, little bits and pieces. Like, you know, I'm looking on my phone, I'm flicking between Twitter, I'm onto Facebook, I'm onto YouTube. People just switching and changing. Mark Campo there. I don't know if I said hello to you, Mark. I can't remember. Good evening, Mark, if I didn't. Sorry about that. Says he'd like Star Wars and Rune Wars to be more skirmish. I think the way I play Star Wars probably is a bit more skirmish, to be honest. I never really got out of the starter book stuff. Jamie is saying it's the same issue we have with everything. It's accessibility and speed to table. Lack of dedication and longevity in society in all things is a curse we're making. Yeah. I don't disagree, mate. I think it's... And that's kind of what I was trying to get at about age of profile of people and things as well. I got into wargaming more seriously much later. I was into my 30s when I got into wargaming. Like sort of kind of more seriously. And I guess that anybody that is coming through in their 20s now, or sort of certainly younger, like Sam, like my son there, Sam in the chat, it's you want to be able to just play the game. You don't want to have to build 2,000 points of models. You don't have to paint 2,000 points of models. You don't want to play for 3 hours because you want to be checking your phone every 5 minutes and your mates are online and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that I think it's right. I just think we've got a generation coming through into wargaming now that is driving it in a different direction. But you're right, it doesn't teach all of the things that we associate with wargaming. It doesn't teach patience. It doesn't teach kind of planning and preparation and kind of the patience to wait until you can afford the kind of the next unit or whatever, things like that. Skull Munch is saying, Andy, you don't look a day over 42. That's because I am 42. I'm not 43 until November. Got a little while left until my birthday. Michael is saying, Patrick has been in Dracula's kindergarten. Everyone is younger than him. And then Patrick said something and deleted it. Steve is saying, I went from big games to no games when kids were born, and then board games before back to skirmish games and crafting. I think there's definitely kind of those points in your life, isn't there, where your kids get to a certain age where you get your time back again, and you can start to spend more time, on painting. But committing to a big army is still a big commitment, no matter what your age is. James just in there, loaded games with sound. Yeah, and that sound is still ingrained in my head. Sounds like a fax machine on helium. DM13 is saying, I can see myself getting a couple of Kill Team games in each week, maybe a full-size 40k once every 3 months. I think there's quite a few in that kind of boat as well. Mark is saying, you youngsters just don't know what it was like back in the day. Very little choice. Yeah, that's what I think it was. It was a case of you built your big armies because what else were you going to do? I don't remember, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't remember there being a release schedule as fast as there is now as well. I don't remember kind of Games Workshop throwing things out the way they throw them out now. But certainly it feels like the higher release schedule now. Is it because people have more disposable income? I mean, this has never really been a hobby for people who don't really have a little bit of spare cash. So it's an interesting one, isn't it? Tall Mark is saying he started with a ZX81. Now I'm showing my age. Mark is saying he had the ZX80. I think I didn't have a lot of money when I was a kid. My family didn't have a lot of money, so it took me quite some time to get my first computer, which was a huge thing for my family to kind of save for. So that was why I waited until the Plus 2s came out. Glenn is saying, remember when PC games came in big cardboard boxes? Those were the days. I know it's weird to walk into a game shop now and not really see PC games. Everything is just, I guess Steam pretty much wiped that out, didn't it? But it also controlled the price as well, and it controlled a lot of the copyright stuff as well, I suppose, because they brought the price you don't mind paying kind of £20 or £30 for a game, but it's getting a bit much now. I mean, we're getting off topic a little bit, but it's a bit of a bugbear of mine at the minute where they're charging you kind of £80 and £90 now to pre-order the latest edition, so you can get it 3 days early with a couple of extra skins and stuff. That's a different story. Rain is saying, by the way, we spoke about scenery and terrain last week. We did. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. Says, did you see the Hagglethorn Hollow Kickstarter campaign already? God, that is some beautiful stuff. I think I've just briefly seen it on Twitter, on somebody's Twitter feed. It did look nice, but I've not clicked into it yet. I'll have to have a check of that one out. Jamie is saying to myself and Mark, when grass were grass and men were men, jumping for goalposts. Happy days. The smell of bread wafting down the street. No cars on the roads, just horses. Michael saying, MSX man here, mate, even had a P2000. Not the T model with the disc. Posh, man. You posh Dutch guys, that's what it is. Phil saying, due to ops, I won't have a game until February. Lots of painting time, though. Let's make sure that you have a speedy recovery, bud. I hope you get well soon on that one. Kieran says, consumerism. Down with that sort of thing. Jack saying, also, games are aimed for smaller footprints. A 6x4 and even 4x4 can take up too much space. The smaller sizes help with access into the hobby. Right, on that point then, people's houses haven't suddenly got smaller, have they? I mean, maybe they have. Maybe we have more things in a house that makes a room smaller. But we must have all, I'm just reading Sam's comment there, sorry. We must have all had space to play 6x4 games. We didn't all go to a gaming club. We didn't all, I mean, even gaming clubs are probably relatively more popular now. You didn't go to the local shop. Maybe you did. So 6x4 games were obviously, they were the way back then, weren't they? So what's changed in that respect? Is it that we all want to play at home now and we never used to play at home before? Flying Mammal saying it's a sad world. Is it a sad world? Do you know what it is? It's a shame that things change, but sometimes they change for the better, sometimes they change for the worse. It just depends on your opinions and on your viewpoint. I think I wouldn't say it's better or worse from a purely wargame perspective. Sad world, is it? We haven't got enough time to talk about it on the live stream tonight, whether it's a sad world or not. But for a wargaming world, I think skirmish games at the minute. So we've been talking about Vanguard quite a bit recently. Brilliant models, really tight rule set, fantastic game. Nothing not to love. Kill Team, fantastic models, great rule set, amazing terrain, nothing not to love. So these kind of skirmish games definitely have their place. But, and Kieran did post a picture in the BlackJack Legacy Facebook group, nothing looks better than that big 6x4 table with ranks or sort of certainly lots and lots of models, or ranks and ranks of models battling it out. There is something that really does grip you from that. It makes a game really immersive. Skirmish games, maybe not so much. My personal opinion. DM13 there saying fear of missing out, FOMO. Definitely. There is definitely gotta have it, gotta have the latest thing. What's young Johnny got, what's old Billy got. I need to have it as well. Lots of hype, lots of marketing, lots of advertising on YouTube, lots of people getting things early and hyping them up before they come out. It does make you have that kind of fear of missing out. Sam is still having both FIFA. Take that, Illuminati. I'm with you on that, son. Skullmunch is saying the industry is changing. It's so much easier for companies to make video games and miniatures games that were spoiled for choice. And Flying Mammal is saying, well done, Sam, don't give in. Down with that sort of thing. Robert's saying there are these games like Dungeon Saga, part board game, part mini game. That crossover of board game, mini game thing is also, I think, is a big driver. I think it's brought a lot of people into gaming who maybe had kind of fell away from it. And then once they kind of see what's out there, I think they're probably being enticed into some of the skirmish games. However, big mass battle games still have their place. And one thing that was mentioned on the Beast of War stream, and I did consider myself, is once people... So we've got this generation coming through. I mean, how long kind of skirmish games been a big thing? Probably about 4 years, something like that, maybe. are we going to get to a point where this skirmish game community all decide at some point, take Kill Team, take Vanguard as good examples. I've bought a load of models. I've got so many of them now. I want to play a bigger game. I want to play something else. Or I've got enough models here to play Vanguard. I'll just paint some in the background and I'll just keep adding it till I've got a bigger army. So I can play my skirmish games, but in the background, I'm just kind of building up. I do wonder if in 2 or 3 years' time, we'll see that shift of everybody, because these things are cyclic. Will we see this shift of everybody just starting to up their numbers, building more? Because, let's be honest, there's not a lot of kind of 1,000-point tournaments for Kings of War. There's not a lot of 1,000-point tournaments for AOS. You don't see many for 40k. So there's not a real kind. There's obviously not a need, or there's obviously not a crowd that want to play those bigger games at smaller sizes, which I also find a little bit strange. Let's have a little quick look through here as well. So Jamie is saying, so you got into wargaming a long time ago. I didn't. Well, yeah, I suppose I did. I mean, I certainly got into it as a kid. Actually, I didn't get. That's not true. I didn't get into wargaming as a kid. I got into miniatures as a kid, and then I did get into Hero Quest. But then I basically drifted away. I did a lot of sport when I was younger. I spent most of my free time either playing football or doing a lot of running. And that sport was my hobby and my passion then. And it wasn't until Sam and his brother were born, they were probably 6 months, a year old, something like that. Spending a lot of time at home, and I decided I wanted something to paint, so another hobby. And I picked up some Games Workshop models to paint, so I didn't really get into wargaming until much later in my life, I suppose. Bill says was going to clean the house, but I thought bollocks, the mold lines. That's right, mate. Just leave them stinky lines all over your house. DM13 saying, been on the cusp of wargaming for years. Only the past few months I've been kicking it up a notch, and I'm 38. Late starter. To be honest, mate, there's nothing wrong starting a bit later, because I think sometimes you do have a bit more patience, and you do. I was going to say maybe you don't have that fear of missing out, but yeah, I still have it, and I'm older than you, bud. Jack saying, computer consoles annoy me. Now, if I want a quick game, it always wants an update, and that takes ages. Bring back the days when you can plug and play. That's really interesting you say that, Jack, because I've got a PlayStation 4 and I've got an Xbox One, and I play them relatively infrequently, sort of certainly less than once a week, maybe even once every couple of weeks. And every time I turn the bugger on, when I think, oh, I'll have a quick game, every time I turn it on, there's an update. And then I go to click on the game, oh, there's an update to the game as well. It takes forever. Phil saying that's number 3. I'll make it. You'll get there, mate. 6 more to go. The Fomorian says, who called me? I am the FOMO. Heckled Mind says, unsub. What's the unsub for, Heckled Mind? Anabolic sitting as well. Good evening, Anabolic. Good evening, Heckled Mind as well. 15mm is the future for mass battle games. It fixes most of the problems we have with them at larger scales. I've never even tried a smaller scale game. I'll be honest, smaller than 28mm anyway. And I'm trying to think why really. I guess it's just not been popular in the kind of game groups I've been involved in. But I quite enjoy painting characters and figures. I think if everything's scaled down to like kind of 15mm, I don't think I'd enjoy sort of painting the human figures. If you like, it would be more tanks and sort of that kind of thing. That said, I have been looking at Dystopian Wars, because that's kind of coming back again now as well, and it was something I quite liked the look of when it first came out, but there wasn't a lot of love for it locally. And that's a smaller scale, obviously, but it's all kind of tanks and ships and that kind of stuff. So who knows? Maybe I'll drop scale for that kind of stuff. Leah saying, do you think maybe this popularity of skirmish is a bit false? As in, because it's low buy-in cost, people just pick them up when the hype is there, then you never see them play it again, or it drops off. I don't think it's the hype of skirmish that's false. I think it's people's attention spans. I I think this is exactly the reason we've just been talking there about how quickly Games Workshop release stuff for Kill Team. I think this is why. I think because they know they've got a really short window. It might only be 12 months. And I think they've probably seen it with Blood Bowl and they've seen it with Necromunda. If they don't get stuff out quickly, people's attention wanders and they go elsewhere. So I don't know if it's a problem with skirmish games, but I think it's probably more to do with people's attentions. We've got DJ Todd Harrison. Good evening, Todd. How are you doing, buddy? Not seen you in a little while. Says it all came down to space for me. Large armies are too space intensive. Chat's jumping around. That's why I've just lost the track. Everybody is. Bloody hell, that did move fast. Oh, that was where we were. Phil was asking Heckle Mind a question mark. What was the unsub for? Patrick is saying getting older can't be avoided, but the whole grown-up thing I tend to avoid like the plague. That's my plan too, mate. Fomorian is saying that Anabolic, I have the same opinion. There's a big gap in the market for 15mm mass battle games. So, which one do you play any Fomorian? Is there some that you're particularly interested in, like smaller scale games? When I say scale, I mean sort of not less miniatures, smaller scale miniatures. Jamie is saying Assassin's Creed Odyssey cost me 85 quid. So all the time now, I've been kind of eyeing up a couple of games coming out soon. Things like the new Black Ops and Red Dead. I want to see Revolver. That was the old one, isn't it? Red Dead Redemption 2. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. But they're a fortune. They're an absolute fortune. Bill saying, thanks, mate. Broken Legion of Gamers. I'm not going to lie. Walking Dead All Out War turned me onto skirmish games, but that was all. But before that, you were all about mass battle games. Yeah, Walking Dead got me back into it, I think, like later on as well. After having a bit of a break. Michael's saying having an MSX in Philip's hometown was the only option. Of course, I never even thought of that. Having an Amiga was calling the Spanish Inquisition to cleanse the house. We've got Tervendar in. Good evening, Tervendar. Says, I hope mass battles don't go away. I love me my Kings of War. Yeah, and actually speaking of Kings of War, just to kind of show that I personally don't think mass battle games are dead. I've painted up my first unit of Kings of War models. So I thought, although the grass will probably go off with the green screen, here are my first unit of ogres ready to take to the battlefield. So yeah, I don't think mass battle games are dead. I'm just getting started into one after not really taking part in mass battle games for quite some time. But I thought it was a really interesting question, and I think there's lots of layers to it as to why. Why I think people at the minute probably think that there is some sort of legs in that. Where are we up to? James J says maybe no more kitchen tables to play on. Yeah, maybe that's a good point actually. Maybe people sitting in front of the TV with sort of dinner on their lap watching TV in the night time. Maybe people don't feel the need for big dining tables anymore. Maybe everybody went all fancy and got rid of the kitchen table and got islands in their kitchen with the hobs and stuff in. It could be something as similar as that. Is one of the reasons why people just don't have the space to play anymore. Jimmy is saying, don't all have country piles like you. Hi, Sheriff of Northumberland. But yeah. Piles I've got piles, mate. I don't know about piles of money. I've definitely got piles. Todd says 3x3 tables are the way to go for me, hence that's why I play Last Days. Art imitating life. Phil says Phil Johnson, I don't think I said hello to you, Phil. Good evening, Phil. He says 32, teacher, still renting a smallish flat with my wife and child. My parents had a normal big house at my age. Table size is a big factor for us. Yeah, have house prices kind of sort of got out of control to the point where people have less space? Is there such kind of like socio-economic reasons why gaming has changed? That's what I find interesting about this topic. I don't really want to come down on one side or the other. I do really. I don't think they're dead, but I think they're very much underplayed versus how they used to be. Andrew Pierce is saying, many moons ago when me and my mates wanted to play Warhammer, we played on the dining room table or after school club with desks pushed together. Great time. Anabolic is saying we don't have enough room for 6x4 tables because we have so many boxes of unassembled miniatures taking up the room. How very, very true. How very true. Art Wilson. I don't think I said hello to you, Art. Good evening, Art. It says, evening all. If I were to get a mass battle game, definitely going to go 6mm at 10mm. It's cheaper, you don't need much space, and you can take shortcuts with painting. Nice epic look too. There's definitely something about having that big kind of sort of mass battle look to it. We got Black Country Wargaming as well. Good evening, Carl. Hope you're well, mate. His houses are not got smaller. Some of us only have small ones with a living room, kitchen, toilet, 2 bedrooms. Even my mum's house, and I didn't have room for gaming space. Always had to go elsewhere. Yeah, I mean, my houses were always really small when I was a kid. My dad was a coal miner. We always had kind of like coal miners' cottages. We never had big house or anything like that. Kind of. So I maybe that's one of the reasons I never got into wargaming when I was a kid. I physically just didn't have the space. Ian says, skirmish games are great. Can't wait for my Vanguard Kickstarter. Not long now, mate. Says, but they're no greater feeling than being the general surveying your massed ranks over a large table getting mauled. Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about that. I mean, things like sort of apocalypse games look fantastic. Awful to play because they just take forever and it's just too unwieldy, but they do look fantastic, that's for sure. Steve is saying we're a family of 6 in a 2-bedroom house, lived in a 5-bed house as a kid. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, house prices have obviously got way out of control. Maybe families were bigger as well back then, so people tend to have slightly bigger houses. Could be a lot of different reasons, couldn't there? Kieran is saying that Jamie, 85 quid for Odyssey. Where did you get that? I think it was 45 quid off Amazon. Jamie will have bought the exclusive one with some extra bits. That's what it is. Kieran is saying, oh yeah, sorry, Kieran said that. Sam is saying you can buy a castle up here for 50 pence. There is that as well. Living in the northeast has its advantages as well. There's some cheaper housing up here. Andrew says, I love playing War Machine, but with kids, I can't escape for big chunks of time. Been playing Guild Ball, which is great, easier to paint up a team and can go out for a couple of hours. Yeah, there's definitely that as well, isn't it? I mean, it's trying to think back, like when I was first getting into wargaming, I'm trying to think of the kind of the age profile of the people that were playing. A lot of them were much older, or much younger. So you had kind of students, kind of 17, 18 to 20, early 20s, who probably didn't have kind of family commitments. And then you had guys in maybe the late 50s, 60s, who also probably had a lot of spare time on their hands. So maybe that was why the mass battle games as well. People just had more time on their hands as well, like that. Mark is saying, off topic, but did you see the latest on Hellboy, delayed by a month? Yeah, I saw that, Mark. To be honest, I couldn't even remember when it was due. So it doesn't, for me, it's more a case of I just know when it's coming now. So I wasn't really sure. Robbie, we've got Robbie last in. Good evening, Robbie. I'm not sure if I saw any of your comments before. See, I think what will happen is 28mm plus mass battle games will get smaller. In saying that, we've still got companies like Parabellum who are determined, even though I've not seen much about it, they're going to be releasing their mass battle fantasy game in Conquest, but still not seeing much about it, if I'm honest. But it's interesting that companies still think that mass battle games have got legs, if you like. Skullmunch says, I'll take 2, Sam. One for each footer. My mammal says, yes, Hero Quest. Bloody hell, am I that far back in the chat? I really am. I'm about 15 minutes back on there. I'll have to catch up a little bit. And I'm sure I've just seen Sam saying he remembers bugging me to play it all the time. Yes, you definitely did, Sam. But do you know what? You never guess what? I've been kind of tidying the garage out yesterday and been sorting out my table for the garage. And Hero Quest was in the garage, nicely boxed up. We'll have to have a game sometime, but Matt is saying again, I love narrative play, so even mass battle games need a storyline. Yeah, I think it definitely needs something to add to it, doesn't it? Otherwise, it does become a little bit kind of just fighting for fighting's sake a little bit. I like a good kind of scenario. I like games where it's not just about killing your opponent as well. Excuse me while I have a drink, guys. Mark is saying, what's the current best dungeon crawlers? Was D&D mass battle or skirmish before it became D&D? I think D&D was always just D&D. I think it's dungeon crawler wise, Dungeon Saga I've heard good things about, although not played it. But there's lots of dungeon crawler-esque games, isn't there? Like you can buy Star Wars, we call it Imperial Assault, which is essentially Descent with a Star Wars skin. Descent is a good dungeon crawler. And then you've got things like Star Saga as well from Mantic, which is also a dungeon crawler but in space. We've got Henry Mendez in. Good evening, Henry Mendez. How are you doing? We've got Horrid Person in as well. Good evening, Horrid Person. Gene, I should say. Try loading games from cassette. Can't believe how fast games boot up on computers. Exactly. We've got Tim Kelly in as well. Good evening, Tim. Thanks for joining us. Carl saying there he only plays on PC now, but have a monster computer that does everything in 30 seconds. Shame my internet connection holds it back. We're so reliant on the internet connections now, aren't we? Gene there saying games get rushed out. Skirmish games got hot. GW chased it just like they chased board games. Yeah, you're probably not wrong there as well. Anabolic saying, have you seen the Joan of Arc Kickstarter? Small scale and the miniatures still have a good amount of detail and paint well. To be honest, it was one I looked at. I was quite keen, but the number of miniatures put me off. So I know what you mean, but they did look good. I think there's something like 20mm scale or something like that. Robbie's saying the Hail Caesar rule set works seriously well at small scales and covers all periods from ancients to late medieval. Really captures the feel of mass combat. I think I'd like to try. I'd like to try kind of a historical game, but I've not. It's not my kind of personal taste, that kind of ancient stuff. But I think if I played one, I'd probably enjoy it. Flying Mile saying nice orange grass. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a green screen, isn't it? You get it gets all screwed up. But let me just. You can see. I turned the focus off on my camera now, so it doesn't keep adjusting. But you can kind of see there, can't you? Not too bad. The red bits are red, by the way. Those bits on the shield and on the kind of on the cloths, they really are red. It's just the grass that goes see-through. Right, I need to kind of speed up on the chat a little bit because there'll be loads of stuff that I'm missing out here. Let me see if we've got any new people in. We've got Tony and Mr. Smooky Thing. This evening can't stop, but good evening to you. Glenn is saying, Andy, are you worried about skirmish games not getting the support they need in the long term? I mean, is Kill Team going to be dropped and relaunched when 9th edition of 40k approaches? I'm not sure. We'll see. Kind of 9th edition the way we used to see new editions coming out, because we've got these annual updates now with like sort of what they call chapter approved and all the 2 big FAQs a year. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't really see the big updates anymore. We probably just get a kind of a big, like a like a big box set every sort of. We seem to be getting them every couple of weeks at the minute. But I think if they make money, Games Workshop will support them. So it all depends on how popular they are. I think in the past they've kind of half-heartedly launched things like Kill Team. They half-heartedly launched AOS Skirmish. But this time with Kill Team is the first time they've really gone after it, and it seems to be paying off for them. It certainly seems to be bringing a lot of people into the Warhammer hobby. Let's see, see if I can catch up a little bit on the chat. Jamie is saying, got a dash, catch you all later. The answer is no. We've had a great chat. I was fantastic. Good night. You've probably already gone now, buddy, but thank you very much for being in. Tim is saying, mass battle's still thriving in clubs near me. Personally, I haven't time to paint and play mass battle games at the moment. Kids and work and stuff. Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people are, mate. It purely does boil down to kind of... maybe it's just that generation. So we were talking before about that generation of people having less time. Maybe it's also that generation now where people of kind of our age, so, and I say our age, I mean kind of mid-30s, maybe up to into kind of like in the 50s or whatever, have kind of grown up with gaming, and now we're at that point where, you know, kids take over your lives. You and I don't mean that in a bad way. I love all my kids. But they do kind of demand time from you, and you can't always just go out and spend 3 or 4 hours playing a game, can you? DM13 there is saying publishers will lure in new players with skirmish games and eventually expand the games and transition players to full army games over a few years. I think that's maybe their plan. It's still in our hands as to whether we go with it or not, though, isn't it? I think that's the key. Phil is saying, what I find interesting is GW are steadily lowering the model count in 40k. Primaris Marines, Custodes, Knights, big focus on speed freaks in the new Orc stuff. No new Orc boys or basic guard. That's quite an interesting point, Phil. They definitely are kind of... It's almost as if what they'll do is they'll boost up the point levels of the characters. So things like Primaris Marines are more expensive. They'll boost the points up, and then all of a sudden they'll start going, oh, 3,000 points is the new game level now. And everyone goes, oh, I better buy a load more models. Who knows? Maybe that's how they'll creep it up over time by tricking you into thinking, oh, I only need half as many models as I used to need. And then all of a sudden the points creeps up that way. When everybody's playing with like not enough models on the board, if you like. Gene is saying my point was that wargaming as an industry isn't a mover. We're still getting a derivative upsurge on account of board gaming hipsters. Yeah, I don't think it's... I think companies are reacting to a change in the consumer base. I don't think the companies are driving the change, which I think is what makes this question about is mass battle game, are they dying, are they dead? It's not because wargaming companies want them to be dead. They want to sell loads of miniatures. It's the market, like the consumer, that's changing. We've got Bazza in as well from Underdog Painting. Good evening, Bazza. Hope you're well. Says he's getting into heresy. Gonna have to sell a kitty to buy my army. Yeah, good luck with that, mate. Henry saying just finished painting 3 kill teams for me and my sons, hoping to get our first game in today after they get out of school. Let me know how it goes, Henry, and also let me know what which kill teams have you painted up. I'm sure you might have said, but I can't remember now. Gene says, don't have kids, get some cats. Don't even get cats, just get more miniatures. That would solve it. Michael saying, talking about series on TV, who's seen the new Doctor Who? Not seen it, mate, but I've seen mixed reviews, I think. Like, not in a negative way, just people saying it was better than I expected, or it's not as good as I hoped it would be, but I've not seen it myself, mate, if I'm honest. Flying Mole says, oh, chickens. Yeah, you'll get chickens, and at least they'll give you some eggs. Cats just kind of give you dead mice and fur balls, don't they? Todd is saying, have you seen the new Z War 1 Exodus on Kickstarter? Yeah, I pledged, and more zombies in my future. I did see it. Somebody tagged me in it on Twitter. And for those that don't follow me on Twitter, please head across and follow me. It's at BlackJack Legacy. I'm also on Instagram as well at BlackJack Legacy. So please head across and follow me on other social medias. I did see it. Somebody tagged me in it, and it looked really interesting. But I thought it was just another zombie game, if I'm honest. Personally, and I still have a lot of life left in Walking. A lot of life left in Walking Dead. That sounded wrong, didn't it? Skullmunch is saying Mantic are onto a winner. Board games, skirmish, and mass battle games all using the same minis, and that's when it starts to click, isn't it? That's why Kill Team into 40k is a big success. That's why Walking Dead, you can buy the starter box and you can start to grow it. Next year they're going to have the kind of the bigger scale. So we're not skirmish game. It's kind of a skirmish game, I guess, but with more models in. They've got the Here's Negan board game coming. Really interesting the way they're working it. Same thing with Star Saga, with Firefight, with Warpath, with Dungeon Saga, with Vanguard now, with Kings of War. They really have, over time, sort of managed to get themselves into that kind of, that nice little kind of like place where they are. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, but they're really fleshing out their range now. Steve is saying he enjoyed the new Doctor Who. Tim is saying he enjoyed it, he loved it too. Michael says, problem is Games Workshop, serious. Mantic doesn't really stand a big chance, but still get a lot of love. But the fans of GW tend to stick to GW only, and the rest is seen as copies or proxies. I think the problem is Games Workshop had such a head start on everybody else when it came to miniature gaming, and they've got such a big operation now. I mean, anybody that doesn't listen to the Countercharge podcast, please head across, check out Countercharge. They tend to talk about Kings of War, but they cover all sorts of Mantic stuff, and they also cover lots of other games in their hobby chat as well. They had an interview with Ronnie Renton, the owner of Mantic. Excuse me, that coffee's ripped on me there. And the owner of Mantic, and he said that Games Workshop paid out a bonus to their staff that was twice the size of Mantic's turnover. That is just gives you the size of scale in just how far apart companies are in physical size. I think he said that Mantic basically take the same amount of money on average as Warhammer World does as a shop. So that just gives you the size and scale. Smaller companies will never ever catch up and compete with Games Workshop on a big scale. All they can do is keep making great models, keep making great rules, keep interacting with the communities, and basically hope that it permeates out. I think the problem is with Games Workshop stuff is people feel that they've spent so much money on it that they don't want to jump into something else. It's kind of like, well, I've spent 600 quid on this army. Why would I want to quit this game and go and play something else? But it's almost a case, once you're in kind of thing. And that's a shame. But as long as people are enjoying their games, they're enjoying their games. Gene says they already tricked you, Andy. Look, oh, it's just jumping up the screen there. Where did that go? They've already tricked you, Andy. Look at the reboots. Warhammer and 40k went through over the years, right up to Apocalypse level. Consumer short-term memory. I think the problem is it's not always the same consumer, so they don't see what used to happen. Fly Mammal is saying, sorry, tablet battery is going. Still on our big screen though. Bye, chat. Thanks for chatting, Fly Mammal, but thank you for continuing to watch. Top Table Gamer says, hey, pal, how's it going? It's Steve. Nice to see you, Steve. I assuming it was Jamie that was in earlier on. DM13 says, Henry, he's playing Kill Team with his 7-year-old and it's going okay. He's enjoyed painting his own Imperial fists, skipping the scout phase and introducing tactics cards slowly. To be honest, I think I always skip the scout phase anyway. Steve said, thought I'd drop in and see as I'm sat in the man cave painting. Nice new table, by the way. To be honest, mate, the table's an old table. I'm just trying to create a nice space to have around it, but thank you. Where are we up to now? Jane is saying, Mantic did slick work, agree with Skull Munch. Yeah, that was around the board games and board games and skirmish games, I think, wasn't it? Henry says 20 guardsmen for him, 10 scions for his oldest son, and 14 orcs for his youngest son. That'll be a good game, mate, with the guards and the orcs. Todd is saying he's pre-ordered Here's Negan 2, loving the new season of Walking Dead. Not thrilled with the lead leaving the show though. I am miles behind on Walking Dead, the TV show, but I did read that he decided to call it a day and he'd had enough to spend more time with his family, I think it was, wasn't it? Which is Andrew Lincoln is the guy's name, isn't it? Carl is saying he's had enough of zombies now. Watched the latest series of Walking Dead earlier and it's the same old touch. Had enough of zombies now. Bring back badass vampires who rip people's throats out. We had a lot of vampires for a while though, wasn't there? There was TV shows like True Blood. You had the Twilight series on movies. There was Vampire Diaries on TV, all that kind of stuff. I think these things are cyclic. Have we had werewolves for a while? We're probably due like just kind of monsters and stuff, haven't they? Speaking of TV, actually, something I've just gotten into with my wife, and I didn't even know it's onto a second season now, was there is a TV series based on the Exorcist, the original 1975 film. It's obviously modern day and it's kind of based on that story. But really enjoying that. I think I'm about 6 episodes into the first series. Really, it's kind of that's the show that we kind of seem to be watching quite frequently now. I watched a lot of stuff recently that all seems to have kind of ended. So yeah, it's nice to find something else worth watching. Robert is saying, gotta go. Wife says so. Wife says, I love you, Andy. You keep Robert busy. Well, Robert, thank you very much. Tell your wife I love her too. DM13 says, to be fair, GW make good stuff. They make fantastic stuff. I can't deny it. They make fantastic stuff. They just release it too fast for me to keep up. Skull Munch is saying, is there any videos of gameplay for Here's Negan? I've not seen any yet, mate, but I'm with certainly with Martin at the weekend at Clash of Kings, so I'll ask him about it and see if he maybe wants some coverage on it. That would be quite good. DM13 is saying, while expensive, the models bought in '93 are still legal and able to be played in the games of the game. That's one thing that they don't write them out, if you like. Christopher saying, I barely have time for GW, let alone for other gaming companies. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's trying to find time. Michael saying, GW make brilliant stuff. She's got a Kings of War army consisting of GW and Mantic minis. All GW minis are broken and Mantic stuff is still just painted, as painted new. I wouldn't say I've had any problems with Games Workshop. Some of the newer stuff is so kind of finely detailed that it is a little bit kind of bits and pieces snap off or get knocked around, or the way they fix them to the bases is a little bit kind of sort of tenuous, but they're still fantastic models. You just got to look after them. That's the problem. You can't throw them in a case like you used to do when you were a kid. Where we're up to. Patrick is just saying to Skullmunch, Negan's not out yet, but I'm sure they'll release a how to play it in due time. Gene is saying, enough of zombies, not me. I plan to paint me some Walking Dead for Walktober. Walktober, I like that, mate. I might steal that. Thank you very much. I will credit you if I do. Michael said, if you're seeing it for walkers, check out Z Nation, wackiest zombie show there is. Has anybody seen? There's a few other zombie shows, isn't there? There's one called iZombie, which is a little bit weird, where it's kind of some girl gets turned into a zombie and then starts, when she eats the brains of somebody, she kind of takes on some of their knowledge. So she ends up working with like in a morgue and doing kind of like detective work. It's quite weird. What else we got? Glenn saying Twilight damaged the brand that is vampires. I never saw the Twilight films, I'll be honest, but there was just a lot of vampire stuff around at the time, wasn't there? I did used to watch True Blood though. I quite enjoyed that, but although that got a bit weird toward the end, but that was pretty good. Tim says, looking forward to the new show, The Boys, comic by Preacher creator Garth Ennis. Superb teaser trailer comes out this week, Seth Rogen directing. I like it already. Big fan of Preacher. I really do like the show as well. So yeah, thanks for the tip on that one. I'll keep an eye out for that one, mate. Patrick says, I love bolt action, as it can be laid in small skirmish games and larger stuff with ease. Beyond the games Antares falls that category too. Yeah, you mentioned this before, didn't you, Patrick? I've never played bolt action, but I've seen a few playthroughs of it because I was quite interested in it a while ago. And I do like that kind of that dice mechanic of the random kind of not knowing who's going to go next. That's really interesting. I'm surprised more games don't use that kind of mechanic, if I'm honest. Michael is saying, in the spirit of Walktober, have you seen my black and white walkers? Yes, I have seen them, mate. They're looking really good. This is what I was saying to you before. When you do one, it's really hard to decide whether it looks right or not. But you get a board full of them, and all of a sudden, they just, I was going to say they come to life, but they've already kind of come back from the dead, haven't they? But yeah, that's the thing. You can do a test model, but you almost need to do 5 of them, really, just to kind of see how they come out. Tim says, zombie TV show Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix. Drew Barrymore. It's proper funny, gory, and gets bizarre. Me and my missus were watching that one. I don't know why we got sidetracked and we stopped watching it, but I was quite enjoying it, actually. I got probably about 2/3 of the way through the first series. But I was quite enjoying it. This is not spoiling it, but I think I was up to the point where the woman that's the zombie expert comes to their house. So that's kind of where I was up to. But yeah, I was quite enjoying that, actually. I must go back and kind of finish watching it, I suppose. So then, folks, while we've got a bit of a lull there, what's your ideas for next week's chat? What would you like to talk about next week? Because what I want to try and do is, one of the comments that was when I was kind of talking about changing up the live stream a little bit, or how was people finding them, one thing that was kind of struck a chord was giving you folks a bit of sort of more information about what next week's chat's going to be. I've given you it earlier. So what I tend to end up doing, I've got a million things on my plate, and I end up leaving it until kind of like the Sunday or the Monday to tell you what the chat's going to be about. I want to try and kind of almost tomorrow tell you what next week's chat's about. So it gives you a chance to have a think about it. You've got a bit more information. So, anybody got any good ideas for next week's chat? Be good to know what you think. Is there a new game coming out that you want to have a chat about? Is there something happening sort of news-wise? Let me know what you think. What we got here. Mike Lessian couldn't watch it anymore. Can't stand Drew Barrymore. It's weird because she's not like you remember her, to be honest. She's a lot different in this, I would say, personally. Gene says the dude from Deadwood's in there too. Yeah, is that Christopher Oliphant? Is that the guy who I'm thinking of? Nick says it might be Walksember for me too. Too much Vanguard stuff coming. I've got to get my skates on. I've got this this Walking Dead tournament in December that I'm going to with my brother-in-law Jason. He's sometimes in the chat there, so if he's around, hello Jason. We're going to this tournament, and I must get my skates on to get painting, start playing some more games as well. Phil is saying painting or hobby tips, please. That's might not be a bad shout actually, because it was something Jason mentioned to me as well about sort of tips for new painters, really, not knowing where to start. So that could be quite a good one, Phil. Thanks for that, mate. Michael says he's an impossible idea. How to get the wife into gaming. Rain says +1 on that. +1 on what? How to get your wife into gaming or painting hobby tips, mate. Which one? Henry is saying he loves all the old school GW minis. He has and still use loads of them. Mark says Halloween. What are we going to do? A Halloween special? Oh yeah, it's Halloween coming up, isn't it? I was going to we talked about it before, didn't we? Where I was going to play a little bit of VR, one of the scary games, wasn't it? I think so. I still have to try and get that set up and see if we can do that on a live stream. But if not, we'll certainly talk about. Well, we've got to do something about scary stuff, haven't we? I was just going to say I might even get dressed up, but who knows? I don't even know when Halloween is actually. Like, I know it's on the 31st, but I don't know if it's on how close to the Monday it is. Bill says color wheel. Yeah, that's not a bad shout as well. Talk about that one. Or hobby motivation. Yeah. Steve is saying he got his wife into D&D board games. No luck with tabletop. Yeah, my wife's she's pretty happy to play kind of card games and stuff. Doesn't mind board games, but yeah, if it's got miniatures in it, it's kind of a bit of a turn off really for her. Skullmunch says I need to read the Vanguard rules and get a few games under my belt. You do, Skullmunch. You do. You won't be sorry with that one. Andrew says, what about good gateway games to get new people into the hobby? How to get new people into our nerdy hobby? I think we covered that one, mate. Maybe not too long ago. But check it out if you haven't already seen it, because to be honest, I might not have kind of covered what you're expecting, but just check it, mate. Gina saying I want to do some junk on that as a blog article. Started the other week, but want a beginning painting prologue. Okay. Tim says starter on board games, then board games with minis, then painting, then skirmish. Matt saying, yeah, painting tips. Painting tips seems to be kind of getting a lot of love. Everybody's up with that one. Phil saying world domination, Pinky and the Brain style. That's got to count for something. I'm not going back and saying what you said, Barrick. Michael is saying, do what I couldn't, play Resident Evil longer than the first scare. Yeah, mate. Honestly, I must have played the first 10 minutes about 20 times and I always bottle out. Mark says it's Wednesday the 31st. Okay, so it'll be Monday the 29th. Okay, so it's pretty close. Ian Scowen says, gotta go. Great chat as always. Cheers, Ian. Thanks for sticking in, mate. Jack is saying, topic idea, the health of gaming clubs. Are we playing more at home? That's quite an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, I wonder. I need to remember that one, because that one's quite a good one, buddy. Thanks for that. Phil saying thanks for the vid. Not a problem, Phil. You're welcome. Christopher's saying downloaded a color wheel app to help me out with painting. So I tend to find, well, in fact, I'm not going to talk about it because I think we'll probably talk about painting tips next week. So I probably won't talk about that one. Rain says beard tips. I think I need a few beard. I think I've got some great tips in my beard at the minute. That's kind of aging me now, isn't it? Gene says hobby build, paint shop talk sounds a good one. Yeah, I think there's a couple of there's certainly a few good ideas in there, but I think the couple that stand out at the minute is we'll probably do painting tips, I think, next week. Painting tips, beginner painting tips, kind of everyone sharing the little bits and pieces that they know. But I like the idea about the gaming club one as well. I think we might pick that one up for maybe the week after. I'm looking at the date now to see if the week after is the Halloween one. We'll pick it up for 1 week anyway. We've got Josie in as well from Green Stuff Games. It says, hey peeps, how's it going? How are you, Josie? I hope you're well. I was just watching your video this evening of the unboxing of the, I forget what the models are called, but the ones for Fallout Wasteland. Nice video. Carl is saying, can't do VR, gives me headaches after 10 minutes. Love Resident 7, but Alien Isolation would be a good scary game shout. Yeah, I've got Alien Isolation actually for Xbox, I think it is. Oh, we just got a new subscriber as well, Tiberius Wallace. You watch this back, Tiberius? Thank you very much. And Tim is saying hi to Green Stuff. Phil says, ooh, a progression army builder in Facebook would be amazing. I've been thinking about this actually, like kind of doing a bit of a slow grow thing. But I can't get my head around how it would work with lots of different games. So, tell you what, anybody that's got any thoughts on this, how do we do a bit of a kind of community slow grow not a campaign, sorry, a slow grow army build to get everybody motivated, kickstart them into kind of getting a bit more painting. We'll kick it off next Monday with the live stream. But if you can give me any tips on how you think we should handle it, like, do we just say 250 points a month or something like that, or 200 points a month? Doesn't matter what your game is. I wonder how we handle it. Great shout, Phil. Thank you for that one. James says, my local club has lost a lot of numbers the last few years, and we have a basement of a pub, so we have access to food and drink while playing. Why is there no places around? Excuse me, round near me that play in a pub? I would love to play games in a pub. Nick saying how modern technology has affected our hobby. I'm still surprised we don't see more crossover with kind of technology. Like the closest we get at the minute is kind of apps for games, isn't it? I'm surprised we haven't seen more. I don't know if anybody's got an iPhone, but my iPhone updated the other day, and now there's like a measuring tool that comes with the iPhone. And it measures basically straight lines, but like in a 3-dimensional kind of place. It looks really accurate, to be honest. And I wonder how accurate it would be for measuring between your miniatures. Green Stuff Games says, hey Tim, sorry for the lack of Burrows and Badgers content. Too many distractions. Patrick says, whatever next week's topic is, chances are good that I won't show up, as it'll be my first day at the new job, and I start at 6 AM all week long. Well, sorry you won't be with us, mate. You'll be missed, as always. But congratulations on starting the new job. And I hope it goes well for you, buddy. Phil Wilkinson says, in scathing words. Yes, yes. Tim says, there's a good painting group on Facebook called Pledge, Paint or Play. Worth checking out for motivation. I will check that out, mate. I've not heard of that before. Jack is saying the War Machine group has a point model value, paint challenge a day. Trying to get 150 points of, say, Kings of War a week would be a good idea. We've got Adam Edgar in as well. Good evening. Oh, good morning to you, Adam. Oh, sorry. Good evening, Adam. He's coming in the chat. And we've got Rain's just donated €5 through the super chat. Says some sort of painting challenge would be awesome. Thank you very much, Rain. As I've said before, much appreciated. Not necessary, but I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Glenn is saying, for painting, I suggest starting small for the first week. Like paint one model for the next week. You could even do a hashtag on Instagram. Yeah, I tell you what. Let's kick something off in the Facebook group. Let's have a good chat about it, because I think we're getting some really good ideas here, and I wanna make sure we capture them. It'd be great to get the hashtag going so we can do it on Instagram or on Twitter. We get the photographs up. We need to kind of. I want to try and get my head around how we do it from multiple different things. So if we say paint sort of 2 models this month or something like that, whatever it needs to be, it'll be really good to get that going. Yeah, nice little painting challenge. See if we can get something going. Gene says, James J lives like a king. That's awesome. This side of the ocean hasn't mastered the gaming club. Yeah, I wish we could kind of master it, to be honest. Most gaming clubs, certainly around my way, are always like in church halls and stuff like that, which is fine. But it'd be nice to have one in a pub somewhere. Christopher says Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champions has been my go-to quick filler game, or quick filler video game. I downloaded Space Marine for free from Steam, but haven't had time to play it. I downloaded it for free as well. Actually, I was just talking about this the other day with Jason when we were having a few beers. I was hoping he had as well because I was going to try and stream it. We could have played it together. Steve saying great crime board game on pre-order, uses AR, the nice mix of tech and tabletop. Yeah, if there's stuff to talk about, it wouldn't be a bad topic to chat about actually. But I assumed that there wasn't that much out there, to be honest. Lee saying the measuring app isn't accurate. Unfortunately, try measuring the skirting board with it. It looked pretty good, mate. The level seems pretty good though. Yeah, I was wondering about the level as well. The level did look quite good. Andrew says, thank you for making my marking more bearable once again, Andy. Thank you, Andrew, for coming in. And I really hope your students don't mind a few mistakes when you've been chatting. Lee says, as for slow growth or different systems, just say 1 unit, say 5 models a week. Yeah, that might be the way to do it, buddy. That might be the way to do it. Carl is saying so many points or certain unit descriptions would be a good start. Yeah, I think we're kind of shaping something up here. It'll definitely happen. And I've just seen Nick saying BlackJack Painting Challenge. I like it. Mark's just said the same thing as well. BlackJack Painting Challenge. We'll have that as a hashtag. Let's get a thread going in the Facebook group. I've just seen Glenn has just said as well. What's your Facebook group, Andy? For those of us not yet on it. If you go down into the description on any one of my videos, you'll see a few things. There's a link to my Patreon account in there. There's a link to where you can buy t-shirts, which is this kind of thing. And there's also a link to the Facebook group as well, where it's just a community Facebook group. A lot of the folks on here in that group, they kind of just share what games they're playing, share the painting they're up to, that kind of stuff. So it's always a kind of place where we can have a bit of a chat during the week between these live stream videos as well. So if you're not already a member, you'll be more than welcome to come and join. Anybody watching this video now. Patrick says, how about a chat about small games companies like Osprey or Two Fat Lardies? That's another one I'd quite like to chat about. We briefly touched on it a few weeks ago about sort of games that need more love. But to be honest, I think we ended up all over the place, didn't we? The chat went everywhere that night. So I think maybe what I like to do is, so we've done a few of these where we do like a kind of a live stream special where we might talk about Kings of War, we talk about Vanguard, we've talked about Kill Team, we've talked about Walking Dead. I quite like those ones to kind of break up the different discussions. Maybe do one of those a month or something like that. So any specific games that you'd like to cover, if like, yeah, I know you're talking about their Two Fat Lardies. I think they're the guys that do the water tanker game, don't they? So that would be good if we could pick some of those things up. Bill saying, yeah, about 200 points a month. Gene saying, sounds cool. Even I have Instagram. There you go. So anybody that, I mentioned it before, anybody that does have Instagram, if you want to head across and follow me on Instagram, it's at BlackJack Legacy. And if you have Twitter and you want to follow me there, it's at BlackJack Legacy on there as well. I try to post different stuff. I tend not to try and repeat the same stuff across social media. So I'll put random photographs of stuff I'm working on and things on Instagram. My Twitter stuff tends to be sort of little bits of things that's happening, sort of sharing news and that kind of stuff. And then the Facebook group is more kind of just what our local community kind of, when I say local, I include all of you folks, what our community is up to and what they're playing and stuff. The M13 is playing, saying paint per model rather than points value. Yeah, I think kind of like what Carl said about maybe putting a unit together or something like that. Or Skullmunch said there was a hashtag on Twitter which was a hobby streak, just trying to get people to do 30 minutes of hobby in a day and trying to keep the streak going. I saw that. I thought it was a really good idea actually. Sometimes I don't get time one day, but even if the hobby streak was kind of a model a week or 2 models a week, that would be a good one to kind of do. Adam is saying maybe start off with that instructional video on painting Death Guard easily. Yeah, I'll quite happily. I mean, to be honest, look, I'll kind of, I don't. You might not have saw these earlier on, but these are my first Kings of War group. These were painted really quick as well. These are pretty basic, and the tips I would give you, and I'll show this in a bit more detail last week. But as soon as you look at that model, you look at the kind of the red kind of cloth down here, and you look at the shield as well. That's what kind of draws your eye, and things like picking out the teeth. The rest of them, I mean, they've not got eyes or anything on them. they're just kind of based and washed really, but highlighting certain parts really does draw your eye to those bits, and it's a bit of a kind of a cheaty fix type thing really. The M13 says Space Marine still holds up so well. I need to play it. I need to play it again actually, because I haven't played it since I downloaded it. Andrew says the league that was run at Thor's Gaming Club in Borehamwood was great at getting me painting a team for Guild Ball. Each week your team got bigger and you got points for having a painted team. Phil says 5 models is cool. Yeah, I can really feel it's starting to shape up now. I'm looking forward to getting that kicked off, because it'll help me. It'll be my motivation as well. Jack says, talking the topic of gaming clubs, maybe you could chat about the health of clubs in areas and maybe how to start a club and what the pitfalls and what works well. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty good idea. It'd probably be a good idea to get somebody on. I've never started a gaming club, so it'd be good to get somebody with a bit of experience on. But yeah, great idea though. Sorry, got distracted by reading the chat there. I didn't finish my sentence. Michael saying first Monday of the month Kickstarter topic. Yeah, that's sort of picking a different Kickstarter game or something like that. Yeah, I like the idea of trying to kind of almost like, you know, if one a month is always focused on a game, one a month is maybe focused on a new Kickstarter game, and then we've got a couple of other topics to come up with, because it's I've only got quite a small brain. Trying to think of a new topic every week hurts my head. Henry is saying he agrees. Crimson Fist 40k army is all rogue trader, 30-year-old Beaky Marines. I love the Beaky Marine. Gene saying Dux Britannium and Sharps practice, looking for an excuse to paint small Napoleonic force. Well, there you go, mate. We're in there. I'm sure we can get you painting. We can get you painting. Josie is saying Black Metal Gang Kickstarter begins October 22nd for Wild in the Streets. Wild in the Streets is what we played, isn't it? At Salute. I enjoyed that game. Phil says the street's nice. Yeah, it's a good idea, isn't it? Patrick saying they have indeed what a tanker, but also Dux Britannia. I ain't being shot, mum. Chain of Command. I didn't realise they did Chain of Command. Quite a good one. Josie just saying she just saw it on Facebook. Skullman said, how do you attach the augers to the base after painting? Well, they're on cork, like, so the slate stuff looks like the stuff that looks like slate is just ripped up bits of cork. So what I do is I pin the miniatures through their feet onto a cork when I'm painting them, and then I basically push those into the cork and super glue them down, mate. That's how I do it. Let's have a look. We got Jacob in as well. I don't think we've chatted before, so hello Jacob. Thank you for coming in. He's just started getting into the new edition of Lord of the Rings. Love the new rule set. I'm hearing a lot of good things about that. Matt says the old rule for unit was painting faces, bases and banners, as these are the parts that catch your eye. Yeah, you're exactly right, mate. It's almost like this. I don't know a lot about the kind of technicalities of it. Certainly, I'm not nowhere near the painter you are, Matt. But it's almost, you've got to have that kind of triangle of like focal points, haven't you? You spend time on base, and the other focal point, that's the bit that draws it in. Jack says, any tips on painting augers fast would be good. I'm starting mine. Yeah, well, let's chat about it next week then. Let's chat about it next week. Phil says, good paint job. Eyes sell it nicely. It's how it is with me. They don't have life to lend for me. Could spend 10 hours, but the face is what draws the eye, I find. I used to think that as well, but I think it depends upon the detail and the scale of the modelers. I mean, I think these guys, I've probably dotted a little bit of kind of white into their eyes. I'll try and get some better pictures up on Facebook so you can see them, but I think it's the kind of the white teeth that kind of draw your eye and draw your view in. Carl says, I started 3 gaming clubs, got mutinied against and banned from 2. The other just had people stop coming. Happy times. Well, you're still more than welcome to come and tell us, because you've started 3 more than I have, mate. Adam says we should all motivate ourselves with a Painted Minis Hit Harder t-shirt. BlackJack Painting Challenge. If you guys want to buy a Painting Challenge t-shirt, I will make a specific t-shirt for the Painting Challenge. Don't worry about that. Lee says Chalmers and Steve covered starting a club on their podcast. It could be worth hitting them up. Warlords are hitting 30 a night at the minute. Yeah, I remember that now. Actually, that was a good podcast. And it's grown week to week, isn't it? It looks just really sad I can't get there. It's Thursday nights have become a real pain for me with my wife being away. Rain is saying, I'd also like to see pics of people's painting stations, lighting solutions, etc. That's a good one as well. So what we'll do is part of the painting challenge, we'll get people to share their kind of the painting areas as well. Jason says, is that for Vanguard? No, Jason, this one's actually for Kings of War. I'm actually going to try and go into full Kings of War and go full there we go, full base sizes. So I've got a lot more to do, though. That's my test to see what I thought about the colour scheme, to be honest. Where we're at now. Skullmunch in New Lord of the Rings is amazing. And Phil says, if I saved up and had a weekend up there, could we have a game? I promise I'm not a stalker. Phil, you're more than welcome, mate. If you're ever in the area, or if you kind of close by, or I'm not sure whereabouts you're based, mate. But yeah, let's definitely get a game sometime. I'll travel about with my job as well, and I'm sure we'll cross paths at somewhere anyway. So yeah, I'm always happy to play games, mate, with anybody. Don't worry about that. He says, I promise I'm not a stalker. Carl says, my group were interested in Lord of the Rings until they realised GW were doing the usual again and forcing you to constantly buy books, so no one is bothering. I don't know a lot about the new release, mate. Is that what's going to happen? Is it's going to be a staged release type thing again with lots of other books? Phil says, at a hotel, won't crash, bruv, calling you out. Yeah, don't worry, mate. Honestly, like I say, I'm not sure whereabouts you're based, mate, but I'm just saw there you're from Kent. Bit of a hike for you, mate. But yeah, I'm sure we can sort something out, mate. Don't worry about that. We'll definitely be good to have a game sometime, Phil. Henry says, Andy, have you done a how to stay motivated in this hobby show? I don't think I've done one on the live streams. I did a video over a year ago now about, it wasn't about staying motivated. I think it was about about how to avoid hobby burnout. But staying motivated is a really, really good subject as well, because I think we all go through patches where you feel a little bit like, oh, I can't be bothered, or I've kind of had it. And that's one of the things, talking about kind of the main topic tonight, which was the are mass battle games dead? That's one of the reasons mass battle games aren't a big attraction so much these days as well, because people do get sick painting the same kind of faction or the same models all the time. It's another great suggestion as well, and I'll put that one down with the rest, because this is being recorded, obviously, and everybody's comments are in there. I can just go back and check the comments in the video, so I'll write them all down at the end of the night. Thank you very much for that. Mark says, just a reminder, Riverhorse Kickstarter is live after this, 11 p.m. Great shout, Mark. Yep. So anybody that is interested in finding out more about the Hunger Games Mockingjay, head across to see the Riverhorse. I think it's on their YouTube channel. I think that's right, isn't it, Mark? Or potentially could be on their Facebook group. Either way, check it out. It'll tell you. And they're doing a live stream at 11 o'clock. So if you want to kind of watch a little bit more, something else to watch this evening, half an hour after I finish, Riverhorse are doing their Mockingjay live stream, of which you'll see, maybe you might have seen. I did a couple of videos with Riverhorse covering an interview with Jack Caesar, the designer, and also doing the playthrough of the game, which I really enjoyed. Lee said, try to avoid painting eyes, because when I do, it looks like the face is melted. Yeah, that's kind of where I am, Lee. If the eyes are really defined, or if I feel I can do a good job of them, I'll try it. But half the time, just a good wash made for me as well. Matt says he took over a club with a friend 2 years ago, and we've had an average of 8 gamers a week. We now have 50 members on the books with 25 average attendance a week. That's great, Matt. I don't know why, but I always had in my head you're in Scotland, and I know you're not. But no, I think it takes real commitment, because you have to commit to being at that club every week, to open up and to take subs or whatever it is, or to pay the bills and all that kind of thing. It takes a lot of commitment to open a club, and I think anybody that even tries it is to be sort of rewarded for that. Phil says he's from Kent. We got that one. He's got Iron Jaws and Zeech. Says thanks. Michael says, want to get motivated by Vanguard. Glenn Griffin says, I've played Lord of the Rings since release, and I haven't got the new edition yet, but I've got 35 rule books and supplements on my shelf over the years. Oh my God. I didn't realize there was that many different bits and pieces. I thought there was a few bits spread out over different things, but I always assumed this new edition was trying to condense it back into one, but from what I'm hearing, that's not the case. And Phil says, we'll hold you to that, still not Bunny Boy. Not, honestly, mate, and that goes for anybody as well. If anybody's ever in the area, up in the northeast of England, and they fancy a game, or they're somewhere kind of not too far away, I'm always happy to travel and play games. Always good to have sort of games against new people. Matt says, East London, mate, and yeah, it's like having a second job. Yeah, I knew you were kind of down south somewhere, but in my head, I don't know why, but I could have sworn you were from Scotland. Anyway, and obviously you haven't got a Scottish accent, so I've got no idea where that came from, bud. Michael says to Glenn Griffin, there's the problem with GW. And Andrew Pierce says, Matt Mountain runs a great club, highly recommend it. And Shaggy is, Jack there is asking, where is your club? So I'm assuming it's in East London, buddy. Glenn says, to be fair, the game was released in 2001. That's maybe why. And Tim says, my local only plays historical, meets once a month, stopped going to a local friendly gaming store about 15 miles away. And with that, folks, I think we'll call it a night. It's 10:30. We've had another good stream tonight. I think we've kind of at the peak we had 56 people in the chat tonight. I think that's the most we've ever had in at one point. You know, we're ending the stream with 30 people in tonight. That's been a pretty successful night as far as I'm concerned. So thank you every single one of you that's come in the chat tonight. Thanks everybody that's contributed. Special thanks to Rain for the donation tonight. As I said before, not needed, but thank you very much. Much appreciated. Yep, had a couple of shout outs for different bits of social media. So if you want to follow me on different bits of social media, please do. And we'll see you next week in the live chat. And next week, as mentioned before, we'll be talking about hobby tips, painting tips, hobby tips, that kind of stuff. So thanks very much, and I'll see you next week.